Hey everybody, Wesley here with a little bonus seed for the church series, and today we're going to look at the question, why is the church not an institution or a company? And we kind of answer that by looking at, again, then we have a group of people coming together. You could say, could be an institution, but an institution is a specific structure, you could say, the way you're going to group a certain group of people. So you might have a group of people, just like a company, a group of people together, and they are the group of people, but if that was a company, then it means it has a certain structure. So certain people are at the top, certain people are at the middle, some people are at the bottom. The same with an institution. You could say an institution, and the same with a company. The problem is that you could see it separate from the people. So a company has a certain structure, but the company is not dependent upon the people. Well, it needs people to function, of course, but you could just switch out this part and put this part in. Or you could just have a new leader as a new CEO and switch that in, as we see companies merging, and the same with an institution. It's basically a structure on paper, a certain way of operating, a system which is separate from the people. You need put people in it to make it work, but you can see it as a separate thing, and that's why it is not the church. The church is, again, a group of people, an assembly, a congregation, a team, with a certain focus. And that could take a certain structure, but the structure is not the same as what this thing is. And that's the beautiful thing how we looked at that the church being the body of Christ. It shows you that the church is an organism. And the Bible talks a lot about also the seed being planted in us and being growing, and Jesus being a vine, and we as branches being added to that. So it's constantly referring to this church, this ecclesia, this group of people, as an organism, as something that will find its life in God and that will then take a certain shape, of course. Every organism has a certain shape, the way it looks, teaching, fellowship, food, prayer, as we saw. But it's an organic thing. And the thing about an institution or a company, that it is not an organic thing. It's a fixed thing, a fixed structure that we think of, and is very different from something organic. And the thing is that a structure, an institution, or a company the structure will always enforce itself upon, whatever's in that. And an organism is way more free, of course. It's way more free to find a way of expression. That's why I think you can see in different cultures. You can see the church is a little different because of little cultural differences. Just as is, you can have various flowers of the same kind, but they look different in different continents because of different circumstances, different surroundings. They might have different colors of flowers and still be the same type of flower, the same type of seed. There's a danger of creating a church like an institution or like a company because you run the risk of having this fixed mold that maybe the real church, a real organism actually wants to grow out of, but because you have this fixed mold, you will always cut it down in that same shape, kind of like a cookie cutter. You will always have that exact same shape. And if that shape is not exactly what God has in mind, like try to make a cookie cutter out of an oak tree or something. These oak trees will look different every time you plant them, even though it's the same seed. So the danger of having this system superimposed upon the nature of the organism of the church is that you run the risk that you are going to cut off some things that are actually part of the church, or you're going to quench some things that are actually part of this organism, and you might actually make room for something which is not part of the organism. So again, Paul says there's a certain order in the body, just like we see in a body. Everything listens to the head, but still there's a certain head. The hand is attached to the forearm is attached to the shoulder, so there's still a certain order in the body, but it's not the same as a fixed structure of an institution or a company. And the problem is because the focus is more on the structure than on the people, is that the people they're replaceable. You could say they are exchangeable. And the beautiful image of the body is that, it says it needs every member to function. You can't just exchange it. You can't just say, we'll just, if you don't want to be here, and we can just plug this in and put that in. Or if something is not functioning well, you're like, we'll just replace this with this. And that is not the way your body works. You don't say, this little pinky is hurt right now. Just chop it off right there and just put another pinky in. No, it doesn't work like that. We need each other. So the beautiful thing of looking at the church as a body, not as a structure, is you avoid the danger of thinking that you can just take this structure and just put it somewhere and it will just it will just be the church of God. So the beautiful thing of looking at the church as a body instead of like a system is that you do need every member. You do need every part working together. So again, you could, of course, you could, as an assembly, as a group, have a certain structure. We see that especially with bigger churches, the bigger your church gets, the more kind of order you need to apply to it. But again, there's the danger of missing some part of the body because you structure it like a way. As soon as you create that structure, it's separate from the organism itself. And as the organism maybe seeks to grow out of that structure, then you need to be really have a spirit of discernment to see, hey, this is limiting what the body actually wants to do. And the danger is that you're just going to look at that system because you're so used to it and just look at it like, well, still looks like that. And if just something doesn't work, we just replace it right here. So you just have this added danger. So to summarize, church is not an institution. It's not a company because, again, it is a group of people meeting together. And this group of people could meet together in a certain systemic structure. But again, it's a separate thing. So hope this was helpful to reframe your idea of church, and see you in the next video.